stand by for action.
Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave Milner. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy, and I want to welcome you to part 2 of this episode of the Unpleasant Blind Guy on EDL Radio. Now remember, if you want to contact me with comments, questions, show suggestions, Awesome American suggestions, I'm available at UBG Contact on Twitter, or I can also be found as Dave Milner or Agador, that's Aggedor, on Mumblet, the Tea Party Community, Spreely, Minds, MeWe, or Gab. Now let's begin. And welcome back to the English Defense League radio show, a special edition with your host, Jeff Spider Mitchell. Yeah, we are talking about things like, we're talking about the Apollo mission, and we're gonna relate that directly to today. We're going to talk about the left. We're going to talk about Islam, and then later in the show, we have something a little bit special that Jeff cooked up himself in a way. So guys, do stay tuned for that.
Gary's just put something up there. He says, "I heard you, Jeff, on Sunday Long Live Radio with Ray Bowe. I was very pleased that you found Ray's radio show. I've been trying to get the gang here on BTR to broadcast on Ray's program for some time now. Ray is also a Discord site that is highly recommended." So there you go, Dave. So Gary heard that show.
You
so
got
we
it,
will
man.
Be playing, Gary, we will be playing when I called in. So we're doing that a little bit. We're going to do the first part of the show because it was a very historic time for all of us, wasn't it, Dave? And
definitely.
I closed my eyes and I can look back. I remember, Dave, what it was like. It was really exciting, wasn't it, mate? It was exciting and scary at the same time, wasn't it? That time.
Yeah, it was. It was exciting and it was scary. Now, Jeff, it's getting close to the time for you to call back in. If you want to call back in, I'll talk up this second part, if you want to hear that. And I can just make sure you don't go over, brother. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, no, I'm okay at the moment, Dave. I've still got a little time.
Okay.
I normally I'll do it probably about 25 past. So we got enough time to play that other clip, and just before I will then call in. So I'll call back. You'll see when I drop anyway, Dave.
Yeah, I will.
I'll just do it, mate. Slide away and quickly get back in.
There you are. There you are. There you are. That's our Jeff. You never can tell when he's going to pop up. All right. That's one for you out there, ladies. He's still single. All right. Now we're going to run the second part of this audio, and this is, this really does capture kind of the feeling of the day, and they talk about some other things. And then, once this is done, we're going to talk about, the intervening years and what needs to be done. And we're going to, as I said, we're going to bring the left into this. We're going to talk about Islam and things of that nature as it relates to this, as it relates to the people, as it relates to you, whoever you are listening to this. Yeah, you. That's what this is all about. So, Jeff, with your permission, I'm going to go ahead and run the second part of this. This is 9.5 minutes long.
Yeah, let's roll it, Dave. Cheers, pal.
All right. You guys are listening to a special edition of the English Defense League radio show. Here we go.
July 16, 1969, and the beginning of humankind's most historic voyage. For 4 days, the world waits as the crew travels the 250,000 miles to lunar orbit.
Apollo 11, if you could. I've got the morning news here if you're interested. Over.
Yeah, we sure are. We're ready to copy and comment. Okay, first off, it looks like it's going to be impossible to get away from the fact that you guys are dominating all the news back here in the Even Pravda in Russia is headlining the mission and calls Neil the czar of the ship. I think maybe they got the wrong mission. Okay, retro, go. Fido, go.
On Sunday, July 20th, the lunar module Eagle separates from the command module Columbia.
Capcom, we're go for undocking.
Roger, Eagle, undock. Roger, how does it look? Eagle has Roger. You got right down US-1.
If all goes according to plan, Eagle will land in 12 minutes. But should anything go wrong, no one can help them.
There's no landing gear on my command module. If they were stuck on the surface of the moon, I could not go down and land and pick them up. Now, if they could limp up into some lopsided orbit, I might or might not be able to go rescue them, just depending on how bad that orbit was.
1201. 1201. Roger, 1201 alarm. 1201 alarm. Stand time for go flight. Okay, we're good.
5 minutes into the flight, the first of several alarms sounds. Eagle's landing computer is overloading.
Roger, 1202, we copy it.
The landing site is now in view, but no one knows that Eagle's computer is filled with incorrect information. Instead of a smooth landing site, Armstrong and Aldrin are headed straight for a field of boulders. They are now less than 2,000 feet and 3 minutes away from landing. The astronauts take over from the computer and become pilots.
4.5 down, 5.5 down. 100 feet, 3.5 down, 9 forward. Okay, 75 feet. Car's looking good, down a half. 6 forward. 60 seconds.
Eagle has only 60 seconds of fuel remaining in its descent engine. The mission is now in danger of being aborted. 100 feet above the surface, lunar dust kicked up by the engines obscures the landing site. As Aldrin calls out the numbers, Armstrong feels his way down, using large boulders in the distance as a reference.
Picking up some dust. Straight shadow. 4 forward, drift into the right a little. 30 seconds. Forward, drift. Contact light. Okay, engine stop.
With less than 30 seconds of fuel, Armstrong and Aldrin touch down on the lunar surface. The nearly 5 billion-year-old moon has its first visitors.
We copy you down, Eagle. Listen, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.
CBS television journalist Walter Cronkite.
Everything about it, of course, was just unbelievable. It denied some of us even our facility at speech.
Wally, say something. I'm speechless. Boy.
Okay, we're going to be busy for a minute.
I'd been preparing for the moon landing for years, and when it happened, I really found myself almost speechless. Just really couldn't get hold of myself for a moment. Just a sensational moment. Not only the technical achievement of landing man on the moon, but getting the pictures back and the sound back so that we saw the event take place, I think was just as much a miracle as the space flight itself.
It's very fine.
Boy, look at those pictures. Wow.
There's that foot going down.
There he is. There's a foot coming down the steps.
These ghostly images are the record of our first footsteps into the universe around us.
It's a little shadowy, but he said he expected that in the shadow of the lunar module. Armstrong is on the moon. Neil Armstrong, 38-year-old American, standing on the surface of the moon on this July 20th, 1969.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Here, men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon, July 1969 AD. It came in peace for all mankind.
The triumph of the moon landing is proclaimed in the name of all mankind, but it is the American flag that is raised over the moonscape.
Go ahead, Mr. President. This is Houston out. Hello, Neil and Buzz. I'm talking to you by telephone from the Oval Room at the White House. And this certainly has to be the most historic telephone call ever made. For one priceless moment in the whole history of man, all the people on this earth are truly one. One in their pride in what you have done, and one in our prayers that you will return safely to Earth.
Tranquility Base, Houston. You're cleared for takeoff. Roger, understand. We're number 1 on the runway. Roger.
After spending a sleepless night on the moon, Armstrong and Aldrin safely blast off and reunite with the mothership Columbia to begin the journey back to Earth. The crew of Apollo 11 lands 8 days after leaving Cape Kennedy.
And the flags are waving and the cigars are being lit up.
There are concerns about biological contamination. Looking truly like aliens from another world, the 3 heroes and their 50 pounds of lunar cargo are placed in quarantine for 21 days. Kennedy's goal has been reached before the end of the decade. The race is over. America is first to the finish line. The final Apollo mission is launched in July of 1975. It is not a mission to the moon or to a space station, but an historic rendezvous in space with the Soviet Union. On board the Apollo spacecraft are Tom Stafford, Vance Brand, and Deke Slayton, one of the original Mercury astronauts. Slayton, grounded by a minor heart condition in 1962, has waited 15 years for this one flight into space.
The majority of the challenge was related to dealing with people that had been antagonists for a whole lot of years and learning to work with them. And when you're in space, you're going over the whole darn world or pieces of it every 90 minutes, you know. And when we get to the point where people are doing that regularly, it's hard to envision how you can keep fighting over little borders drawn on a piece of paper down here on the surface of the Earth.
The Apollo program had cost the American taxpayer some $24 billion. Its original purpose had been to defeat the Soviet Union in a test of political and industrial strength. Now, in the era of détente, Apollo would close with a handshake in space.
Glad to see you.
Apollo remains a demonstration of the genius of humankind, a quest born not of instincts for science or adventure, but of unabashed competition. That was its genesis, but what of its meaning for now and tomorrow?
I look upon going to the moon in the context of planetary exploration, or maybe even more basic than that, of leaving the surface of the planet. To leave or to stay, to have that option. That's something in the history of mankind we've never had before. Just going to the moon is just the first faltering step toward going to Mars, of leaving our solar system, of going off to the far reaches of the universe, to leaving. What was going to the moon all about? It was about leaving.
There you go, Jeff, and listeners. Welcome back to the English Defense League radio show.
Wow, that was awesome.
Little misty over here.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome stuff, Dave. I got to admit.
Yeah, it was.
Every step of the way, you know, you live back to that time, and I do remember, and I know you did. You was a young man yourself, but I remember it. Like you just close your eyes, you just remember things, how nervous people was, and you know it was actually at the time it was America versus the USSR. It was the first one to put men on the moon, and it was the United States. It was that a statement or what? That the technology, that the ability to go where no one's gone before. It's like climbing the first mountain, isn't it? It's always that. It's there to be climbed, and we're going to do it. And that's what mankind's always strived for, to better themselves, to move forward. And that is exactly what the space exploration program, the Apollo missions, was all about. And now we look forward and to the next stage. As I say, the next stage has got to be Mars, isn't it? I hope the good Lord lets me survive to see that, because that'd be my whole life complete, to see the moon landing and actually people stepping foot on Mars. That rounds your life up, doesn't it, Dave? It's a circle of life, isn't it? That's the way I tend to look at the great adventure, and that's what our ancestors would be, if things are put in the right perspective. People will be out there, searching the stars, finding new planets. What a time to look forward to. Once we get rid of all this crap that we've got on this earth with evil people out there trying to turn into some dark hole in the ground. I mean, it's not what we put on earth for. We need to push on. We do shoot for the stars. That's what it's all about. And if other people don't like that journey, well, take a seat, sit back, shut up, and let people who really want to enjoy the further betterment of mankind. And otherwise, just sit back, shut up, do your own thing, and let the rest of us get on with moving forward. There you go. That's me.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you, Jeff. And one of the things over the years, and this happened after the Apollo 1 fire, and it happened after the Challenger disaster, and it's gone on. All of these 50 years since that historic time, you get people. I swear, Jeff. I'm going to vomit if I hear one more commentator say, "Well, we need to stop spending money on the space program and spend that money right here on Earth." Those people, Jeff, are what I like to call idiots. Okay? It was explained. It was explained. I'm going to. It was explained in the opening, guys. Okay, this is something that we found out even more about over the past 50 years. We are, as a civilization, okay, not just individual countries or people, but as a civilization on this earth, Jeff, we and listeners, we are living on borrowed time. There are natural disasters that could occur at any moment that could take down the whole of civilization. And as the opening said, it wouldn't just take us out. It would take out everything that has been accomplished before. Again, the best book you ever read, the best movie you ever saw, the best song you ever heard, all of the great speeches that have been made throughout the ages, all of that stuff, gone. And in other words, it would mean that, again, if you're listening to this, I'm going to personalize this to you. In other words, it would mean if civilization is wiped out by some natural or man-made disaster, it would mean that your life, my life, the life of the person you love the most would come to nothing. And that's not what we need to do. Now, I hear people all the time saying, well, we can try and do things here on Earth to avoid those things. Yeah, we can, but we need to hedge our bets, and we've been needing to hedge our bets over these past 50 years that we've wasted by creating self-sustaining presences in space. People, Jeff and I talked about this before the show. By this time, by the year 2019, we should have already had a self-sustaining space island orbiting the Earth. We should already have, if not self-sustaining, almost self-sustaining, a moon base. We should be working on a colony on Mars and putting our minds to the task of creating a star drive so that we can move out of this solar system. The future of humanity and everything we've done before, okay, is at stake. all of it. Right now, as much as Jeff and I both, love the earth and everything, that's it. That's the only place that we are. That's the only place humanity is, and it is the only place that what we have done is, except for a few robot space probes that we put out there, like the Voyager probes and things like that. It could happen that those would be the only things that would prove that we were ever alive. And we need, in my opinion, to hedge our bets on the survival of humanity. And that means, yes, we need to spend the money. There's never going to be a time when the money can't go someplace else. But, Jeff, I'm going to talk about this when it comes to the politicians, okay? Yes, you can spend the money right here on Earth, okay? You know where 80% of that money is going to go? Into some politician's pocket. Now, what happens, okay, if an asteroid which could come at us from any direction in space comes right towards the Earth? Okay, what's Kamala Harris going to do? Call it a racist and make it, shame itself and go away? That ain't going to work, okay? If a coronal mass ejection and an ejection of, a part of the sun, which has happened and does happen a lot, all the time. You can check on this, guys. If one of those big enough to destroy the Earth comes hurtling at us, what's Nancy Pelosi going to do? Call President Trump a racist? No, that's not going to work. That's not going to stop one of those.
Don't be surprised
okay?
with that look.
Exactly. And if one or more of the super volcanoes, the type of which some people think might have destroyed Atlantis, goes off. Like, for instance, the one underneath Yellowstone National Park here in the United States, the one that is underneath now the site of Nell Krakatoa, which is in the South Pacific, or the one in Santorini. If any or more than one of those goes off, okay, what's Hope Not Hate going to do? Send Antifa out to beat up a bunch of people? No. We need to have presences out in space that are self-sustaining or are getting there. We've wasted the past 50 years because of idiocy. We could be the first species on the planet Earth to ever die off because we were morons and didn't do what we should do. What do you think, Jeff?
I agree. I agree with everything you said there, Dave. I could agree more, mate. It's so true. As you say, we've wasted so much time, that we could have achieved. We should have had flying cars by now. That's what I was talking to you earlier about, wouldn't it, Dave?
Yeah.
We should have been so advanced now instead of all this crap that's been going on the last 50 years and that. And I would agree with you, Dave.
Yeah.
Everything.
Well, and another thing that we need to do, and I think this is important, brother, and listeners, is we have to, as a people, evolve past certain things. We have to get rid of racism. We have to get rid of anti-Semitism. Yeah. We have to get rid of all the hate. If somebody happens to be a different color, so what? They can be your friend. They can be your loved one. You just got to reach out your hand and stop being a moron.
That's why I've always looked at it.
Exactly. We have to get rid of those things. And one of the things that has to go, and no, I'm not talking, now this is me, not the EDL. One of the things that has to go off into its own little area away from civilization is Islam. If we're going to be worthy of the stars, we are going to have to say, no, we are a civilization that does not think that slavery is okay. We are a civilization that does not think that it's all right to hang gays from cranes or whip them or just execute them in some other way just because they happen to be homosexuals. All right? If we are going to be worthy of the stars, we have to say we're going to treat men and women with equal respect, okay? And that means that Islam is going to have to go off on its own to another part of the earth and sort itself out, maybe in 100 years, 1,000 years, whatever, when they grow up and get out of this 6th century mentality that they have then maybe they can be welcomed back into the civilization with the rest of us. But until then, if we are going to be worthy, Jeff, of traveling to the stars, we have to learn to love each other, and we have to get rid of the dead weight. And that's what I was talking about in the script. Okay, and if people don't like that,
with Islam, it's a negative. The whole thing about Islam, it does not like civilization. When we talk about civilization,
exactly,
Islam has got no. It doesn't want to do anything with civilization. It wants to destroy civilization. It's got a negative outlook. There is no positive thing about Islam. No matter how different sides you look at it, it is definitely a negative thing where we like the light. They like to live in the dark, and they want to draw us into the dark. Well, I'm not going to go and live in the dark like they've been. I like us to move forward. And as you said, Dave, all the time we've got this negative thing out there with Islam, this cult of death. That's what it is, guys. It's nothing more than the cult of death. Then we cannot push on. All the time we've got people out there who want to destroy everything that we've built, everything we've done for thousands of years. They want to take us back to a time of barbaric evilness, because that is Islam. There is nothing positive about Islam. Islam is a death cult. It's satanic. There's nothing more, nothing less I want to say about it. We just need to move forward. Yes, there is not. Muslims out there are not pretty nice, but their ideology stinks. It is totally goes against all the fabrics of civilization, everything. But I just wanted to make a point about what you said about Islam, Dave, and you know, whether people like it or not, and they don't like what I speak about Islam, I tell it the way it is. And it can be uncomfortable. Some people might not like the way I speak about it. But I tell you the truth. What you hear from this radio show and other radio shows is the truth. And some people can't take the truth. Well, too bad. Too bad. You know, that's the way we do things. This is our cookie crumbles, as Dave would say. I think that's what it's
Well, I might, Jeff, but I want to also talk a little bit about some of the enablers of Islam, some of the people who share the blame, honestly, for all of the terror and that the everyday terrorism and the big terrorist events and things like that that go on due to the actions of the Mohammedans. And I'm talking about the left. And these are some of the same people that have tried to choke off funds for our space programs over the years. I mean, I can recall two different incidents here right off. I mean, the first one that I can remember, and now you guys might want to check on this to see if this is accurate. I know he said it in a speech, but I think this was in his inaugural address. What did we have? You know, President Jimmy Carter, all right, elected in 1976. Yeah, yep. And what does he say in, I believe this was his inaugural address? He says, well, yeah, the manned space program is important, but we're not going to spend more money on that, or we're going to spend less money on that. So they severely cut the space program. And there were some Republican presidents that allowed that to be done too. Okay, you know, but let's flash forward to the Obama administration. Now, at that point, we had actually done one thing that I think was very helpful in the road to space. We had a space fleet. We had a fleet of space shuttles. Yes, they were old. Yes, they were getting kind of beat up. You know, maybe needed replacement by something a little bit more modern or whatnot. But what does Obama do? He junks the space shuttles. He just gets rid of them and does not replace them with anything. All right? That's the left. They don't want us to reach for the stars. They don't want us to go out into the universe because to them, to the left, the very well-intentioned people in the rank and file of the left are being sold a bill of goods about how it's about helping the poor. No, guys. It's about putting money and power into the pockets of a few lefties that feed you guys a line of crap and have fed you guys a line of crap for over 50 years. I've been listening to it for that long, so I know what the hell I'm talking about here. Okay? If we are going to move forward in the universe, we are going to have to embrace the effort, and we are going to have to say that, yes, humanity is worth working for. The future of humanity is worth working for, and in more than one place, and that includes going out into the stars. And people, I'm just hoping that you guys will all use this anniversary to reflect on that and to demand that we spend more money on manned space programs, support things like the SpaceX program, the stuff they're doing, and all of that, because everything.
Well, your president is supporting them, Dave. He's given a big shout out. You got Space Fleet or whatever that he's been really talked about. So he's definitely shooting for the stars, Dave. Your president is definitely shooting for the stars. Yeah,
he is. But it hasn't happened yet, and that's what we have to do. We have to make sure that it happens. Okay, yeah. Because and we're about to switch over to the next part of our show, but if it doesn't happen, if you're a young person and you listen to this and you go, it's just 50-year-old stuff, nobody cares, then again, your life. When, not if, but when, there will be a natural disaster eventually that will wipe out civilization here on Earth. It will happen. And when it does, your life will have had no meaning. The life of the person that you admire most will have no meaning, because there won't be anything left if we don't move out into the stars. Am I right, brother?
Well, Dave, what can I say? Well said. I salute you for that. Dave, that's the way I look at things. It's you've got to have the imagination to move forward. Idealistic. This is the idealistic mission of everybody. I think. Me and Dave, we look towards the stars. We look that way because we know that's where the destiny of our ancestors will be in the not too distant future. So, onward and forward.
And that's going to require bravery on all of our parts, man. Because yes, there will be some things that we have to do without right here on Earth, so that we can move forward and assure the continuance of the human species. Because I think it's worth continuing, especially if we can, as I said, evolve past all these isms and stuff that the left keep on whipping up and things like that. And if we can put a muzzle on Islam and put it in another place from civilization, we can move forward. Now, folks, we're moving into the next part of our show, and I want to say something. Well, actually, I'll comment on it after we play the first of these two segments here. Jeff was on the 15th. Jeff was on a great, what I think is a pretty great show from what I heard. It's called Sunday Long Live, and please forgive me if I butcher this name, but it's hosted by a lady named Rhea Bowe, okay? And Jeff called into this program, and Jeff, if you're ready, we're going to run the first part of this, man.
Yeah, when you're ready, Dave, yeah, lovely couple. I hope everybody enjoys it.
All right. This is our Jeff Spider Mitchell talking on Sunday Long Live Radio on the 15th. This is the first part. There are going to be two of these. This one's going to last 9 minutes. Well, it's just under 10 minutes, guys. So here you go. You're listening to the English Defense League radio show.
Hello, what have we got? We've got, wait a minute, let me get this call. This could be really iffy, so I'm going to have to get my finger over the buttons so someone's calling in. Let's have a look, shall we? Oh, no, I've just set the thing out. Bear with me. This is on the hop. Hello, you're through to Sunday Long Live.
Yeah, it's the first time I've heard
what a great show you're putting on there. Wow. It's the first time, I'm a first-time caller, and I'm listening, and I love what you're doing. I love with the graphics and everything. I'm just trying to join up and be a part of what's going on. I think it's great. We need this type of radio stations, don't we? We really, really do. Fed up mainstream crap. So, well done. You're doing great.
Well, thank you. All right, so let us in the know what's going on. Don't give away too much because this is going out. So, a name, roughly, where are you? What's your point of view? You're on air.
Yeah, my name's Jeff. I'm a patriot. Oh dear. Yeah, my name's Jeff Mitchell. I don't care. I'm known anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I live in just on the outskirts of Ipswich. I've been a patriot for many years. I've took all the stick that they can throw at me, like Tommy, like everybody else. But I'm still here, and I'm still fighting the good fight. That's what it's about. It's about our children, our grandchildren, isn't it? Our great-grandchildren. I've got great-grandchildren, for goodness sake. So it's good to see a radio show like yours doing what you do. We need it. I mean, who listens to mainstream media these days? Let's be honest. It's dead, isn't it? But no, as I say, I believe in what we do. Exactly what you've been seeing with Tommy. Actually, it's like a tsunami. What's happened to Tommy? Tommy Robinson is a worldwide voice now. I mean, people listen to him right away across the globe, and you might try and silence people. Also, you've got people like Danny Tomo, who's coming through, who's doing an absolute... So I've been watching them from early days, and I've watched them come through like Tommy did. You know, I've done a radio show. I've done radio shows for years, sort of thing, but I had Tommy on the radio show about 6 years ago. It was great. Tommy's a great lad, and it really upsets me to see what's happened, what they've done, because he speaks out against this total injustice that's going on in this country, and what they're doing is killing journalism, real journalism, not the one that they like to sugarcoat and pretend that nothing's really happening. It's to go away. There's nothing happening here. But yeah, I thought I just wanted to give you a call and congratulate you on putting this great show together. And I'll be listening to you every Sunday.
You're a star. Okay, so I'm going to ask you some questions while you're online, so bear with me a second. I've just realised that I hadn't patched you through properly. In terms of Ipswich, let me just get this patched in properly. I think I've done it. Wait a minute, let me have a quick look. Right, so now I've done it. So now people can hear you properly, I think. In terms of Ipswich and you being a patriot and what's going up in your neck of the woods, because I'm down south, is there still really strong support for Tommy? Is it something where the general populace, or is it just what's the support going on up in your neck of the woods?
Well, Tommy's supported. Whoever I talk to, everybody's behind him. I don't get out as much these days as I used to, but he's got great supporters. If you look at Ipswich, we've had grooming cases in Ipswich. We've had mosques going up, we've had pubs being shut down, protested against them turning it into a mosque. But it's called a cultural centre, but you know what it really is. We've been seeing this, we've been experiencing it. But Tommy, Tommy's very, very popular amongst the populous people. You know, some people who just tuned into BBC, ITV and Sky News and that, you still get them who are going to speak out bad about Tommy because all they listen to is the mainstream media. They don't look anywhere else. They're just totally blind to what's really going on. But unfortunately, it's coming their way. When it's their children that's taken off the streets and raped and groomed and passed around, then they will soon get a picture, and then they'll be saying, well, we should have done something, should have got more involved. And that's all we say. We've opened a lot of people's eyes over the last few years. I mean, I've been part of an organisation that we've done it for 10 years or so. We keep pushing out. I'm down to. It's very the group I was involved with. I'm the last man standing, and I'm not going down with this ship. I'm going to stand fight. I'm going to keep fighting the good fight, and that's why it's a breath of fresh air to great people like yourself doing these radio shows. God bless you and thank you.
You're a star, my darling. So I'll just pick up on what you just said. Do you feel the mainstream media are blind, as in they don't see it, or do you feel that they see it and with intent there's an editorial just not to cover it?
Well, yeah, they've got to do, it's not to cover anything that's got up. If you're talking about Tommy Robinson, he's been deplatformed, and they're told not to talk about him. Any negative points they can make against Tommy is all good for them. That goes towards their prospects of, getting a little bit extra money later on. But that's the unfortunate problem, is that there's so much corruption, there's so much involvement, and they don't want the truth to get out there. They've always been the same, and even if you can go in the highest power structures, and they're all the same. They just want to keep us in, just in the blind, to be blind to what's really going on. But people like yourself, with great radio show, people like me, and millions of others know exactly what's going on. We're not stupid people. We're not stupid people. There's a lot of anger, as you know. There's a lot of anger and resentment what's going on in this country. Do you know, one of the Tommy, I see this the other day, and it was disgusting. I see a woman punched by a police officer outside the Old Bailey. Now we've finally gotten down to who he is and the police station where he's from. So hopefully he'll probably get the sack. I hope so. Whether that be the case, how they cover up each other, don't you? But
justice isn't looking equal right now, is that?
No, it's not equal. It's them against us, unfortunately. But our cause is growing. We're gathering the numbers of strength, and and as you see outside the Old Bailey, when the police tried to stop the platform being used, they were pushed away from the stage. See, people have had enough of it. They're not listening to what the old-time bobbies used to listen to them, didn't you? These are just thugs in uniforms, and you see the uniforms they wear, and the big batters where it smashed down on people's heads. I know I've seen a lot of my friends that have been battered over the years. I mean, over the years, really, really nasty things. But all you do is standing for right. I mean, what we all stand for is a righteous cause, protecting children. And because you try to protect children and expose these evil people out there doing the most horrific crimes to these kids, is you put in prison because you talk about them and they say, it was contempt of court. And we all know that's a crock of crap, isn't it? Let's be honest. But that's just me. I'm going on a little bit. My apologies.
No, take it while it's there, sweetie. Tell me your first name again.
It's Jeff.
Jeff, you're a star. I think it needs people like you calling in. So and it just needs that reasoned. What you just said, as far as I'm concerned, is a quality explainer and a very real. And I think no matter what the mainstream media do, how they turn it into like a Saturday night, gloss it up, polish it up, nothing will resonate like the truth. When people hear the truth, it does something very special, and it will travel straight through them to other people. That's why we're here on Sunday Long Live Radio, is for people like you to come up.
And that is it for this time. Next time, Part 3. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for listening, and may your God go with you. Goodbye.
The Unpleasant Blind Guy is copyright 2019. Anno Domini. Now for Dave's Canes. Extras that help you navigate the new media world.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media